Hello.
both hard drive and on the internet. So we're here tonight, as we are on most Saturday nights, to play Dungeons and Dragons. To give a very quick recap of last week, the party has been traveling down through Alterel to reach the ruined city of Silarai, in search of the Temple of Gyand Thur, where they recently learned that was likely located somewhere within the ruined city, probably within the Arnway Spire, the towering tree-like structure that held the opening to Sigil. Traveling down through the Altoran forest, they came upon a temple of some sort off to the side. Deciding to investigate, the party went inside and, doing some investigation, found that this might have been some sort of healing temple of sorts. Further investigation showed test tubes that were large enough to hold people, one including some pieces of meat that were played with. As Ren slunk away to investigate a room that seemed like it might be a burial chamber of some sort, Nenia's pendant seemingly activated and gave the group a glimpse into what was likely the past. Ghostly forms went through their day-to-day within this temple, healing, taking care of the sick within the room that Ren thought was a burial chamber, which technically I suppose it was. Yeah. They all gathered within the room with the test tubes before too long and witnessed what seemed to be some sort of experiment using the power of the Realmix to grant an individual artificial immortality. With this knowledge in hand, not quite knowing what to do with it, the group absconded from this temple, leaving it to the elements and just where it was on the side of the road. They returned to the Altoran woods and clambered into Laffy's mansion to rest, where they would likely wake up the next morning. Not too far from... Yeah, I never know with you guys, okay?
Fair.
Where they would wake up closer to the capital within a day's travel. So we're picking up there. Did anyone do anything while you were sleeping that night?
I don't think Brand did.
Mist might have tried to see if she could hear that weird voice again.
Make an Arcana check.
Oh gosh. Oh right. Fuck, I forgot to open the thing. Hold on.
Yeah, see?
Dropping the ball.
That's one of the reasons...
I opened everything else!
That's why I asked for a check super early in.
And
Look
you
at that.
tell
Planning.
me to get an 20 earlier.
Yeah.
Hey,
least I have my
I'm
character
in
sheet
roll 20, and I have my other character sheet open, just not the one that does the rolling. 36.
Alright. You sit and you meditate for some time, with the mansion growing quiet, with the only sound to really hear is the quiet screaming of polka dots somewhere within the depths of the mansion.
Yes, familiarity.
Yes. You get lulled into your trance-like state just with this deep concentration and the familiar surroundings, and you hear nothing.
Okay.
Does anyone else do anything, or...?
Nania laments in her bedroom, and she still has the symbol that she probably put on a nightstand, and just thinking to herself about what happened, and yeah, she just spent some time to think about that before crashing for the night.
Okay. You sit there and you ruminate on the happenings within that temple and just the general events that have been happening that remain baffling.
Ren examines the symbol still on her hand and contemplates how she shares similarity with the god, who fucks up everything.
Oh my god.
Honestly.
Okay.
What a jackass.
Who are you referring to? We'll never know. Does Laffy do anything?
Well, Laffy probably gets bored and starts moving her furniture manually while thinking about how strong it's gonna make her arms so that when she sees Ka, she can punch her right in the fucking face.
Alright, so yeah, Laffy, you spend the remainder of the night before you pass out doing strange manual labor that doesn't need to be done.
She's feeling restless. The room needs change.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta mix things up. I get it.
You gotta reorganize everything when you're stressed out. It's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So the morning comes, or approximately what you would suppose the morning is at this point, about 8 hours later. Mist, you've been up for about 4 hours at this point. The rest of you guys stir with your long rest intact, and one by one you all head downstairs. Polka Dot is mysteriously quiet, as she tends to be in the mornings, actually.
Miss
I mean, after
actually
hours,
Oh, you go.
I say after hours and hours of screaming, it has to sleep eventually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Miss would probably do something before coming down when she thought everyone was asleep. The only thing would be is she's like looking at all those weird markings on her to see if they've changed at all.
Okay. They haven't.
Okay, she's relieved at this. That's it.
Okay. Does anyone else do anything as you come down, gather around the table where breakfast is already laid out?
Nope. Brand's just doing his usual morning ritual of drinking his body weight in coffee.
Okay.
Oh my
Ren
god.
too.
Alright, yeah, Ren, Bren, you guys sit down and just down way too much, like, it should be enough coffee to kill a person. But here we are.
Well, Ren at least has an excuse.
Yeah.
Ren doesn't really.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
fine.
Is anything
They've eaten
happening?
worse things.
Someone's booping.
Oh my god, why? I don't even know where it's coming from.
It's Tumblr.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's the
Oh.
Tumblr wet noise.
The
God,
wet
I
noise.
hear that, I'm like, I don't remember what that is either, but I know what it is.
It's a
Oh, I
weird
don't-
noise.
I don't like that. It's
it.
gross.
Yeah.
Tumblr wet noise.
Gross.
I
Ugh.
don't want anything that has to do with Tumblr and wet.
Yeah. That's a bad combo.
I'm just gonna not. Yeah. Alright. Tumblr window's getting closed.
Yeah. So yeah, you
Moving
guys all at the breakfast table. Is anyone doing anything else other than eating, drinking, and well, anything other than those two things?
No.
Contemplating life's existence.
Yeah.
Contemplating
As they do.
Yeah.
existential
Fine.
crises.
Time
Small
still
notes.
isn't relative.
Luffy's putting more eyeliner on top of her eye.
Eyeliner for her eyeliner.
She's going full raccoon.
Been full
She's-
raccoon
she's
since the start of
getting
the
bathed
game.
into
She's got them
things.
Gar eyes.
Oh.
What's up with Vathan?
Oh no, Miss is just feeding Bathan, like getting Bathan a bunch of food.
Okay.
And letting him play with his fork.
He has a good time with his fork. He's just slapping it against other like shiny things and making an unholy racket.
Yeah.
So if no one's going to do anything, you all grab your various steeds, or those who need their steeds from inside. Laffy, you grab your tired mare. Nenio, you
Yeah, do I?
yes. Unless you say otherwise.
Just leaves
Yeah,
it
see.
there forever.
Nenio, you go grab your donkey and gently lead the very soft animal outside. Donkey doesn't put up any argument. Mist, you go grab your, wow, word.
Stallion.
Yeah, the stallion, which once more gives you this weird, like, sideways look until it spots Vathan, and then
Yeah,
shapes up very
Miss
swiftly.
probably has to take the fork from Vathan at that point because she's afraid the horse would get too scared.
Okay. And Bran and Ren, you guys stumble outside.
Yep.
You both summon your various steeds. Ren, there's this brief swirl of rain from last night that gathers around your feet before it coalesces into a horse. Bran, you blow your little whistle, and the sky opens up. That holy light rains down, and your Pegasus gently floats down like a feather.
Every time.
Yeah.
Bran stole an apple.
Beautiful.
He feeds to the Pegasus.
Okay. So, with that said, you guys all, without really saying much to each other still, you...
Oh, Laffy says as they're getting on their horses outside, "We're going to the wasteland, bitches!" And then she
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Miss might seem a little bit nervous, like she's kind of fidgeting and stuff, and she uses Eldritch Sight, she's looking around at everything, and she's being more, I guess, I don't know, wiggly than usual.
Okay. Bran and Ren, you guys just kind of doing the thing.
Yep.
Bran's like letting his Pegasus just kind of follow the rest of the group while he naps.
Okay.
Like napping on the back of his Pegasus. He
Okay.
seems very sleepy.
Do you guys let Laffy take the lead, or does anyone try to get in front of her?
I mean, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ren does.
Yeah, no, Laffy's in the lead. She can just keep going. Ren's gonna like trot along.
Okay. With Laffy at the lead, the pace is about half what you would normally go because occasionally the mare starts drifting off to the side.
Oh.
Oh no.
Alright, eventually Ren gets bored.
Okay.
Starts like trying to lead, but like it doesn't work because she doesn't know where the fuck she's going.
Yeah, it's like that. You're trying to be in front, but you keep looking back, like, am I going the right way?
As Laffy is wafting to the side on her on her dying mare, she's like, "Hey asshole, you're not going the right way."
And Ren's just like, I'm going the way I feel like going.
Well, in that case, follow your dreams.
Ren, oh, go ahead, sorry.
She falls back behind Laffy.
Okay.
Oh, wait, Laffy looks at Ren for a moment in gay confusion.
Turns out Ren's dreams are behind Laffy. Huh.
Oh.
Right.
So yeah, occasionally, Laffy, you have to correct the poor mare because you know the path that you're traveling on simply by virtue of being familiar with woods. You're able to keep your eyes on this muddy trail. The woods around you are quiet in the way that an area can be after a recent storm. The various wildlife is still kind of hiding back as if they're anticipating a storm coming back. But you guys head on. Occasionally there's a bit of a mishap with the mud. One of the horses slips. Bran, your Pegasus somehow almost loses its footing at some point. But catches itself with a heavy beat of its wings. Which stirs up more mud that somehow avoids everybody, but there's this big shower of gross.
Just hits everyone but Bran and the Pegasus.
Yeah. So you guys keep going.
Yeah, Mist is using Eldritch Sight,
Okay.
like, this whole time.
Okay.
She keeps looking around like she's expecting something eventually.
Okay. Make a perception check.
Oh boy. Damn.
Okay.
She's really expecting something.
You occasionally do spot little swirls of arcane energy gathering beneath the trees, and you kind of freeze for a split second every time this happens. But quickly after noticing it, you see that it's usually an animal poking its head out.
Hmm.
And you can generally gather that by living in these sort of woods for this long, they've been changed in some way. Your average rabbit might be
Yeah.
able to, jump 50 feet in the air now.
Fair.
Yeah. And about half the day passes like this. The sky's still gray and cloudy, but you manage to stay dry, despite the looming thunderstorm that's sure to follow.
Yeah, Miss talks to Vathan occasionally. He's like, "Do you see anything familiar?" So Vathan would react to this.
Vathan just, ah! Doesn't mean anything to you.
Right.
You guys spend the vast majority of the day in silence. And then, I gotta move the map over. So, as you guys start to break through the woods, you see ahead of you that the trees are growing thinner and there's a more defined path. The trees are parting and there's some like cobbled road beneath you that's definitely buried beneath layers of mud, and there's some moss growing over it to suggest that this isn't a road that's been traveled often lately. But you actually, Laffy, make a perception check.
Okay.
Okay. With you in the lead, the forest parts, and the first thing that catches your eye is the only thing that's on the horizon. And in the distance, you see the ruins of what was once clearly a grand city, what was once a city constructed out of what seemed like glass at the time. And when you guys were last here, it was bright, sunny, and while you approached from the river into the port, you're still able to recognize that this was a very magnificent place in the definition of the word. Unarguably majestic. High arched spires that were made of this crystalline material that refracted the light from the sun into rainbows that spread out across both the city and the sky alike. But now it's not quite that. You do see that the crystals are still there, but even from this distance, you can see that much of the spires and the arches are now cracked. Just almost ruined, but still standing. But as you get closer, you do begin to notice, all of you begin to notice this now. You notice that the top of these buildings seem like they were just shorn off by almost like a giant with a hot knife would cut through a large slab of butter. It's a clean cut across every building at a certain height. All uniform, this large slash through it. And despite this wreckage, there is still what little sunlight that's poking through behind these clouds does hit the remaining crystals, and even through the cracks and the shattered visages, the sunlight does get refracted into many colors. There is clear possibility of splendor still available in this city, but it's not here right now.
Is it still hecka magic?
Yes, it's still very magic to the point where you can all actually feel it now. When you first came, you didn't really know what to expect, but with everything you've been through, including you, Bran, this is a new experience to you, and you too, Nenia, but you've been exposed to so much recently that there's this weird, like, thrumming feeling in your chest. It feels like the soft beating of a bass drum. Inconvenient, but not overpowering. And still looming above this city, or what should have been looming, rather, is this tree trunk. And you continue to draw closer. The path is still present, still muddy, still moss.
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait.
What?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, the mic wasn't picking me up. Does the tree trunk also look like it was just kind of cut?
I'm getting there.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's fine. This was hard to see because it does look like it should have been towering over everything. But you guys all see that it was cut off at approximately the same height as every other building. You couldn't catch sight of this tree trunk until you got close enough for the city to kind of part and individual buildings to stand out. And that's the only moment that you caught a glimpse of this tree. And it's been shorn off. Ren, I need you to make a perception check.
Sure.
Brand 2.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah. Okay. Between the two of you and your travels, and Ren, your knowledge of ships, Brand, just all the various architecture you've seen, you can estimate that everything was cut off about 600 to 700 feet up. It's all uniform, just this slash through the sky. But it's still a good ways up. The city still towers.
is that like so? Back in the old first encounter of
Yeah, that's what I
going
was
up up the tower,
Mhm.
you know, the height roughly, would that have been where they teleported to Sigil?
It's about half of what you once saw.
Okay.
Yeah. Saying this used to be about 2,000 feet up. It was a little taller than the World Trade Center.
Okay.
I mean, was would they be able to determine if where they were up in the tree that one time, if that was the spot where everything's been shorn?
Those of you that are curious, make a history check.
All right.
Doesn't know anything about this realm, so
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
its history.
I need to figure out what my history is.
God damn it. I got nothing.
Okay. Laffy and Ren, you're too caught up in just the horror of what you're seeing. It's still, very majestic, but it is clear that something horrible happened here. Laffy and Mist, you guys remember that you were in the top of this tree. You were in the practically the boughs of it. When you looked up while you were in the chamber of the Elven Council, you basically saw the sky. So you were significantly higher than where this buildings, this giant cleave had happened.
Yeah, that's how big the explosion was.
Explosion?
Oh, that
Maybe
wasn't
what I-
Bobby's voice. That was just me.
Oh, okay.
You guys travel up, but eventually you all kind of come to a halt. Just gawking at this thing. It's too overwhelming to really go forwards immediately. You all just need a moment to take it in. Save for you, Bran. You're just kind of... This is nothing
Well-
compared to the things that you've seen.
I've seen things you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
I mean, Laffy's kind of more concerned about the surrounding area.
Miss just looks like she's got this sort of determined but nervous look. Like, she's also very concerned about the surroundings. Like, she's looking for anything that's moving. She's looking for any strange or familiar magic signature. Like, she's just like,
Yeah, like,
Okay.
she's on
girl?
high alert right now.
your girl waiting to get jumped.
Well,
Yeah.
when you're looking out in front of you, it's an open plain that leads to this city. There was some level of arrogance with this city were they kept themselves wide open. They firmly believed that there was no way they could ever get defeated by an incoming force.
Too bad it was an outgoing force.
Yeah. Um,
Ooh.
but yeah, Luffy and Mist, go ahead and make perception checks.
Okay.
Okay. You are both on alert as you all kick your steeds back into motion and continue heading down this path. As you're going, Luffy, you in particular, you catch the sight of what look like they might have been wagons, maybe bodies of some sort, fleeing the city. Not going towards it like you are, but definitely going away, trying to get to this forest. And this strikes you, and it's something that you would likely know to be expected during a time of tragedy like this. And all the while you guys are moving forward, my music stopped, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't supposed to yet. And all the while you guys are moving forward, and as you're going, it strikes you once more just how big this city was, because it's still taking you about 2-3 hours of riding at a reasonable pace to actually reach the city itself. And as you do so, it sprawls outwards rather than upwards. And you trot up to what were once definitely gates. It's very clear that these were stone structures built into the crystal. They were meant to keep things out, clearly. You see that there are empty guard posts, and despite it being stone, it's all very elaborate. There are statues adorning this structure. Statues that were clearly some elves of import. You guys continue in. The way is not barred from you. As you're going, it's very striking to those of you that have been here before, and to those of you that haven't, it's still very... it's striking. It's something you notice very quickly. This was a city once bathed in color. Blues, reds, greens. Thanks to the refraction from the crystals above, there is a lot of natural color here, and without that light beaming down on the city, it is drab, colorless, very easy to call miserable, even. You guys continue on, just kind of wandering, without the spire looming above. It's difficult to actually see where it is. You're moving between these giant buildings, and off to the sides you occasionally see people moving around through devastation. The buildings that were up high... Well, make a perception check, all of you.
Okay.
A.
Damn. Okay.
Ren is
Yeah,
seeing nothing.
Ren, you're keeping focus as much as you can, just trying to keep the eye on the prize here. The rest of you are certainly distracted in various ways. Laffy and Mist, you guys are contemplating on kind of this destruction. It distracts you because it is of such an absurd level. And you see that there are pieces of crystal and things that were probably dangling off of crystals that were hung up high, and when just this top level of the city was evaporated, the things that were hanging off of those crystals just fell. And there was a lot of these things, clearly. As you continue down the streets, there are what look like icicles embedded into the ground. There are buildings that are collapsed onto their side. You see pennants fluttering about in the street. And still, you guys just catch people walking through, looking not downtrodden, but confused and like they're aimless.
Mist is looking for any symbols or any person that looks familiar.
I'm sorry, did you say people?
Yeah, there's some people there.
What do they look like?
Elvin.
Like, aside from downtrodden, they're alive?
Yes.
Hmm.
There's not many of them, and they're not paying you guys any mind. But there are elves of, nondescript nature.
Yeah, Mist is looking for anyone that may or may not look similar to her.
Okay. Well, you don't.
Especially particular symbols of,
You don't
ones
see.
that fucked everything up here.
You don't see any particular symbols, but you're going through, and on some of the buildings you see golden emblazonings that were symbols of some sort, and it's easy enough to gather that these were symbols meant to denote royalty, people that live there, important buildings. As you guys continue on, you stop for a moment because the sun peeks out from clouds, and there's this brief flash of red light that beams down onto the street in front of you and makes your world seem like it's on fire for a moment. And you all stop, and you hear several people gasp and then scurry. There's an audible noise of people moving away. You
Where
guys
is it coming from?
make a perception check. Swear to God, perception's the only thing that ever really needs to be used. You hear it coming from the sides of you. No one is staying to the main road that you are on. There are several side streets, but that's where you hear the sounds coming from. And Ren, you begin to pick up the sounds of people living off to the sides of society almost. You recognize this based on your experience in cities. And Nania, you're starting to get that same feeling just due to the places that you have visited.
Ren's gonna veer off the path and like poke her head through some of these side streets.
Okay. You ride off, and it's not like this far reach to get off to the side. You hop off and you look over and roll a stealth check.
Okay. Okay.
Nice.
Ren vanishes.
Yeah, Ren, you vanish along with your horse. No, you quietly trot your horse over the magical aspect of it, enabling it to be quiet. And you lean up against one of the buildings and lean over your horse, and you see that there are a few lean-tos set up. Kind of like a hobo camp, I suppose.
A shanty town.
Yes, but it's between this alleyway that it's about like maybe 6-7 feet wide. It's not very wide at all. And there's
Probably not me. Sorry, go ahead.
You catch this, and there are people minding each other. They're not looking out into the main road. They're just kind of tending to each other, and they've managed to drape cloth along the walls of the buildings they're between, all along it, just to cover the crystals up, because these buildings were all made out of crystal. And while some of them remained see-through, a lot of them had, canvas up or something to give themselves some form of privacy. These people have blocked out the world, except on the entryway that you are now peeking into.
Alright. Ren's gonna just sort of watch for like in comparison to say Ardor. Like there really hasn't been much rebuilding of the city at all, has there?
Not where you're at, no.
Okay. Yeah, Ren's gonna observe for like a little while.
Okay. Make an investigation check.
Sure. That's
Jesus.
actually a 10, so 25.
Wow. Okay. You just stop and observe, and thanks to how quiet you are, no one takes notice of you. And you see people doing their best to make the best of a bad situation. Occasionally, you see people poking out from the little tents they've made, scuffling over to the nearby tents with just various bowls or wrapped things in their arms. You do catch the scent of something cooking. You can't really put your finger on what. But you don't notice anything untoward. You just see people doing their best.
Interesting. Okay. Ren rejoins the group.
Okay.
Sort of.
No one notices Ren was even gone.
Ren just reappears.
She's the middle.
Oh, oh,
God.
that's so real.
Yeah, it's true too.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone in the party's used to Ren just fucking off for a little while anyway.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, it's just, her stealth was so good.
They're all used to like Ren being there, and they blink and she's just gone.
Yes, just
There she go.
Inward
So-
fretting intensifies.
what's up?
What?
You said so.
Oh, I was gonna make a joke, but then I was like, no, we should get back on track.
Okay. You guys continue on, and off to each side of you, you see that the crystal structures are starting to open up, and you see that red flash of light again come from above you where there's still crystal canopy. And you catch sight of what were once shop fronts, and an anvil catches your eye. What was clearly once a blacksmith. You pass a shop that still has, old mannequins in it with pieces of armor draped over the vague shapes. It all looks very old, very worn, to a degree that it doesn't make sense, almost.
Time doesn't exist.
Mm,
Time is meaningless, duh.
yeah.
A giant time-space portal got kind of, ripped open above the city, so who knows what the fuck happened to it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
This is still looking out for, I mean, the place is magic as fuck, but she's looking out for, anomalous magic or something that just seems fucking weird.
Does Red remember the direction of the brothel they all stayed in?
Make a history check.
I sure hope she does.
You take a moment. You fall silent. More silent. You guys have, probably been muttering under your breath, not talking to each other quite yet. And Ren, you withdraw, and you get the memory that, yeah, you continued along the road that you're currently on. You went through this district that was bathed in blue light. And from there you took a left at some point that you remember, and you proceeded into what was known as the Colorless District. It was an area that caught the sun in just such a way that they weren't bathed in any color.
Ren is going to take the lead.
Okay.
She trots up in front of Laffy, but this time she looks like she has a purpose and a direction.
Where we going, champ?
You remember that place we stayed in the first time we passed through here?
Yeah, I
with the
kept
lady
wondering
thing.
if she was alright, but then, we heard everything got blown up, so I didn't think so.
Well, let's find out.
Okay. You kick up the pace just a little bit, knowing where you want to go now. And as you go, you reach a turn that leads into what you knew was once the Blue District. And you do catch a flash of that light. It seems that this does still happen occasionally to denote the various areas in the city. you notice there's more activity here. It's still downtrodden, there's still elves, but this looks a bit more cleaned up than where you were. Not significantly so, but you also remember that this was a residential area. Very few businesses were located here. This is a place that people would probably try to rebuild.
Yeah.
And you do see the signs of people living in houses, or their buildings, rather. There were very few houses here. And occasionally you see someone poke their head out to give you guys all a look. It's not quite suspicious, it's more curious.
Yeah.
And you continue traveling. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, nothing. I was just gonna say that Miss looks at all the points where they once followed the symbol this way.
Okay. Yeah, it's difficult for you in particular to remember, sadly.
Yeah.
You can make a history check if you'd like.
Yeah, she's. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Despite you being really poor with directions, you don't remember the directions so much as the locations, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, just images of things, but not where they are.
Yes. And you catch things that are definitely reminiscent of those places, so you're able to identify where you once were, and you don't see any sign of the symbol.
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't really expecting to, but, you know.
Yeah.
She'd probably be weirded out if she did, to be honest.
And it takes you guys about 15 more minutes of riding before you do turn into this colorless district. And your eyes are drawn upwards, and the buildings here are still massive and still cut off. But there's no crystal canopy above you to shed any form of filtered light. Ooh, this is gonna be loud. You continue heading forward, and this is where you see something that should be more expected of a ruined city that's still populated. You catch the sight of people working. Far more individuals. They are filling the streets, chipping away at crystals with loud ching, ching, ching. And there are groups of individuals picking these things up and carrying them off to the sides. The streets here are slightly more well tended to. It stops being various bits of rock and turns back into that sort of slippery crystal road. Bran, this strikes you as all ostentatious to a degree that's probably even a bit much for you. Just
Yeah, he's like, this is a bit too tacky.
Yeah.
He's like, there's a way to look flashy and fancy while still being fashionable.
I'm sorry, is Bran judging a ruined city full of
Yes.
refugees?
Yes, he is.
Oh my god.
Bran has seen many ruined cities full of refugees.
Yeah, they're better than this one.
And, Nenia, you are still kind of awestruck by this. You've heard plenty of people talk about Silurai. You never thought you'd come here, though. And this is not at all what you expected, but it's still more than you expected. Yeah, you catch sight of people working, and some of them take notice of you, but they all seem busy, doing their own tasks, and you see some individuals, these tall men and women in uniforms of some sort, like blue slacks, like gray, black shirts. They are easily identifiable as belonging to some kind of organization leading these efforts. And once more, you're able to see that people are now living inside of buildings. There are what are clearly now homes carved into the walls, where they might not have once been. The entryways look a little bit rough, hewn into it almost. And Ren, you continue leading the party to what was, or where you know was once the Suten Nuyen, the brothel that took you guys in.
Yeah.
And as you're going, it becomes more difficult to find this place, just the chaos around you. But soon enough, you do find it. and you see that it's actually mostly intact and not. Well, I guess repaired is probably a better word for it. It doesn't look like it necessarily survived, but it looks like there's been considerable effort put into reconstructing it. And while it doesn't look perfect, it looks far better than the area around you.
Huh.
People are not going in or out, but there are signs of people living inside, in between the various canvases that are set up inside to block people from looking in wantonly. You do see flickers of candlelight, flashes of people's heads moving around.
Ren is gonna pop off her horse and dismiss it, and she's gonna go inside.
Okay. Anyone join her?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Bran, even now as you dismount, your Pegasus is subdued. Which is kind of strange, but also somewhat expected, I suppose. The rest of your steeds behave, by and large. Mist, your stallion, looks like it's gonna act up, and then Vathan gives it a solid minute-long glare. Just a solid, straight minute, where they lock eyes, and the stallion just kind of bows his head and does his best to avoid eye contact with anything.
Fair.
And one by one, you all filter into what was once this very plush, stereotypical structure. Within, there are people moving around, and the immediate room looks utilitarian at this point. It's lost a lot of that velvet covering. The bar that was near the door is still there. But behind the shell, or behind it where the shells were clearly once liquored up, there's now various medical supplies. And it's not too much longer before you hear a woman's voice call out, "Who's there?" And you see this,
Familiar.
make a history check.
Hey. Damn.
Yeah, actually, and as you suddenly go, "Oh!" a somewhat heavy-set elven woman comes bustling around, and she's not nearly as thick as you remember her, but she's still larger than your average elf. She, has lived a decent life, but not in the decadent way necessarily. Her skin is now sagging a little bit, and her brilliant red hair has turned gray in several places. She is visibly aged, but she looks at you guys curiously. "Can I help you?"
Mist kind of looks excited, and she's like, "Mistress Balasai, is that you?"
She blinks and looks at you strangely, and "Yes, that's my name. What can I do for you?"
Do you remember us? I mean, you probably don't. There's a lot that's happened since then, but we were here once, a long time ago, before...
Ren's now having that awkward recollection that they were actually blamed for this, in canon. And, it's like having an existential crisis.
And she's keeping her distance. She's stepping up against the stairs that she had come down, and just gives you this look, and looks like she's digging around in the pocket of this soft blue dress she's wearing. And then she stops and, "Oh goodness, I remember most of you."
Yeah, he was... Those two weren't here this time, or last time.
Zero, a little wave.
Yeah, none of you too.
Her pale green eyes dart over to them, and she doesn't pay them much mind and looks back to you guys and, "Oh, yes, I remember you. You stayed here before the devastation occurred."
Yeah. I'm glad you're alright, honestly.
"Ah, yes, I suppose I am all right. Well, I suppose you should come in then. We don't want many of the people taking notice of you, do we?
Right.
Freddy's like, oh dear.
Brand's just like, what did Brand doesn't like say it, but he kind of like gives them a look like, what exactly did you do here?
Yeah, Nenia too.
Mist looks at Nenia like, I told you about this. But yeah, she goes where is directed, basically.
Yeah, she comes over to you guys, and Laffy, you in particular, she looks down at you, somewhat fondly actually, and takes you by the shoulder and guides you up the stairs.
Fluffy perks up like a dog that's been given attention.
And you guys all follow, following the dog that's been given attention. Saint's remaining a respectable distance behind, by the way. He's not eager to catch any attention onto himself.
As they go up, Luffy is like, I am not fishing for a horror story or asking you to relay any traumas, but have things... What happened here specifically?
Oh, dear, what do you think happened in a brothel when the world was seemingly ending?
You flourished better than the rest of everyone else?
Oh, nobody pays for that.
What's the world owes this profession?
Well.
That's true. Sad people don't want to fuck.
Oh, it's not that at all. Well, these days it's gotten a bit better, but... Well, come with me. We'll speak in private. And she leads you guys a bit further down, and gestures for you all to enter a room that's somewhat larger and is still somewhat respectable looking. There's a bed. There's your amenities, and while it was once clearly a room to rent a companion in, it's now been converted just to a bedroom. And as you all filter in, she comes in behind you and closes a door that doesn't seem like it's really meant to be there, but wooden frames have been built into the doorways here, and this door shuts behind her and clicks shut. And she walks over along the edges of the room and tugs closed the velvet curtains. And it blocks out much of the light. And with a flick of her wrist, there are candles now that light up in the corners of these rooms, and they're unusually bright, but it's just bright enough to give this room clarity. And she walks over and then gestures to some pillows on the floor to you guys, and have a seat, I suppose. And she walks over to the bed and takes a seat on the edge of it.
Yeah, Mist sits on, I guess, the indicated pillows.
Ren's gonna be a grump and hang out near the door. She's got some, like, red flags going on here, but...
Yeah, I mean, Mist is also still looking out for any weird magic shit.
Luffy's gonna sit down, but Luffy's like always ready to fight 24/7. So
Yeah.
Brand thinks there could be something shady going on here, but he's Brand and believes he's invincible, so he doesn't care.
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, no. They just takes a seat, but she looks like she might be ready to bolt at a moment's notice. But
Mistress Balassi looks at you guys, and there's no need to be so frightened.
Oh, I'm not frightened at all.
She gives you a look, and for a brief moment, you catch a glimpse of the woman that once was Bran. Vivacious and outgoing, and was the sort of woman that always got what she wanted, one way or another. But that look quickly fades. And she just smiles at the rest of you guys, and I know that you likely weren't to blame for that. You were all a little too gentle for the devastation.
hey, I mean, we didn't do it, but we're not gentle.
We tried to stop it. Remember that symbol I told you to look out for? It was them.
That's what I figured, but
They're not still here, are they?
well, nobody saw them come down.
What? That's good.
I suppose. But yes.
Has anyone seen more come in?
Oh, no. Very few things have come in here. Almost
Okay,
nobody wants
that's
to visit
also
these ruins.
The mist kind of looks like visibly relieved, like that was what she was thinking might have been the case for a while, that they fucking set up camp here or some shit, but she seems to be a little bit better, at least with the notion that, you know, they aren't necessarily out in the open.
Yes, but... well... word gets around, and a great many people used to be on the lookout for a human, a half-orc, a half-elf, and an elf. They match your descriptions, actually, or I suppose what were once your descriptions. Looks like that isn't true anymore. But I think that time has passed.
That's good to hear.
Fluffy looks at Ren for a lingering moment.
Ren looks at Laffy.
You know, it's her face.
Ren continues looking at Laffy.
Fluffy was gonna just look away, like it was just gonna be a poignant backwards look, but now Ren is looking at her.
Mistress Balassi looks confused and like she's gonna let this play out.
Yeah.
Fluffy is looking at Ren and she's like, what? What is it?
I don't know, you started looking at me first.
I wasn't looking at you, I was just looking behind me. You just happened to be there.
Oh.
Yeah, Mrs. like, does it really seem like we could destroy an entire city?
Ren, like, quietly ponders that for a minute and then pointedly looks at Mist. And, like, the memory of Mist conjuring a whole shit ton of tentacles
Fluffy,
passes
No
over
one
her
else
face.
knows that.
Fluffy's eyes tune out and she thinks about Raston.
Well, I doubt anyone could set off the sort of devastation that happened. But how? That's not me to ask. It's not my
If
place.
it makes you feel better, we killed the guy who did.
I suppose
Well,
that should make me feel better,
There's
but
several that did.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't make me feel better.
well, the city's, as you can see, quite destroyed.
It doesn't really look like anyone's putting much effort into rebuilding it either.
We lost a great many people, and those who lived tried to flee.
Ah.
Nobody really entertained the notion of sticking around. It only got worse when the Battle of Ardor happened, and, well, everybody was convinced the world was going to end, so why bother?
Yeah.
But that was months ago. A year ago.
People don't come
They've
back.
always been a good thing.
It's a big city.
Well, I mean, not to sound... Yeah, well, elves? They perceive time different than humans.
Yeah, this is true.
It
I
is.
mean, I feel like I met all of you very recently.
Unfortunately, here it feels like it's been ages. But
Like,
so
it's
it goes
time
while you're suffering.
It certainly looks like you've aged.
Stress does that.
Rude.
Witnessing everything you've known vanish does that to you.
Yes.
Ren like opens her mouth, closes her mouth, opens her mouth again. Yes, I suppose.
Well then, I suppose you showing back up isn't a coincidence.
Well, no.
Of course.
I mean, we are here for a reason. Just thought we'd trundle on by, see how you were getting on.
Oh, we're getting on. And at this point you hear someone yell for her. Just, Mistress Balassi, where are you? And she rolls her eyes and, if you'll give me a moment. And she pushes herself off the bed and heads to the door and opens it and leaves and shuts it again without giving you guys a chance to really say anything. And you hear someone come up the stairs, and you hear the same voice begin to speak to her. They're not hushed, but there is a bit of there's animation to the sound of the voice. The cadence is very
Luffy's
moving.
gonna eavesdrop. She's
Yeah,
eavesdropping.
they're eavesdropping, man.
Okay.
Perception, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Okay. It's you guys are old hats at this sort of thing.
Yeah, being nosy.
Yeah, and you hear her say, Lion Toad, you cannot act this way. You need to be the person that people can gather around. And he just, Mother, it's so hard right now. There are people that are trying to steal from us, the neighboring districts. We're just trying to give them a home. But they're stubborn, and many of them have given to banditry, and she just sighs heavily enough for you to hear it, and there's a long period of silence, and well, I suppose we'll gather up a few men and send them out to deal with these people.
Ren opens the door. And she pokes her head out as she does.
You see the back of Mistress Balassi, and you see her addressing this tall elven youth, and by elven youth, not young.
So like late teens, early 20s.
Probably like
human-wise.
Yeah. He's got long blonde hair that is very clearly messed up and hasn't been washed in some time. He's wearing elven leather armor. It's not terribly special, but it certainly looks special. And he looks back at you guys with these bright blue eyes, and who are you?
I was hoping you'd ask that. And Ren steps out of the room.
And Mr.
When
Spalassi...
Ren steps away, by the way, Luffy is there.
Okay.
Just, directly.
You might see part of Mist peeking out the door above Laffy, kind of leaned over, but she's not right in the doorway.
Mother, I didn't... And she just holds up her hand to silence him, and she turns around and... This is no concern of yours. You still haven't told me why you're here.
Well,
Yes, well, I'm sure that'll work itself out, I'm sure.
yeah, but Ren, are you thinking what I am thinking?
Utilizing our reputation as big damn heroes?
Yes.
What do you mean, heroes? I've never
I mean, we
seen
don't
or
really-
heard of you.
Yeah, we don't really get much credit, Ren. I think you're forgetting that we don't have a reputation. We're just good at doing things. We're doers. What we're saying is, we hit things real good.
You see the man's eyes scan you guys up and down, and he doesn't say anything.
I mean, that's not what I was implying, but...
Oh, I mean, we're not gonna go fight bandits?
I mean, we can fight
Don't
bandits,
I
but
think that's a problem.
we fought in the Ardoran War against, demons and stuff.
I'd rather there not be any fighting. It's only going to
Yeah.
lead to more fighting.
It sounds like they need help and they're just trying to steal to get by, not like we need to beat them up.
I mean, if you beat someone up, they don't usually come back to get beat up. Oh, fine. I can do other things too.
You did that thing before with the
With
growing...
the crops,
Yeah.
yeah. If you guys
You
have
guys need
farmland,
food.
Oh. And the man kind of freezes up, and Mr. Spilossi looks over her shoulder and then looks at you guys, and that is part of the problem. Yes, the earth around here is not terribly conducive to growing things, so we've taken to artificial methods, and they aren't quite producing what we would hope.
If it's magic, I might be able to help with that, and Luffy could probably help with the earth, right?
yeah.
Well, part of the problem is that we cannot construct the crystal structures we're using fast enough.
Yeah, I can't help that. Ren leans against the wall, crosses her arms, shrugs.
Well, with what I do, there won't be any need for crystal structures. There will just be food growing for the next year. If you can... I mean, it's only for a year, but here's worth of food.
A year's a year, that's fine, but where would you grow it?
That's up to you.
That's what these structures we're making are for. They have soil, they have what's
Oh,
needed.
then I can do that there.
Ah.
Would we be able to look at them?
Lion Todd, can you take them? He just... Mother, how can we... She just holds her finger up. Yes, I can take you.
Thank you.
And,
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Balassi gives you a look, Ren, that's withering in the best of terms.
Oh my god.
Luffy's like, she stops and she's like, wait, what are the others doing? Should we all just go and scatter?
Ren shrugs and pushes herself off the wall. I'm going to do what I always do. And she vanishes down the stairs.
Don't die.
Leave?
Oh my god.
Well, we did have need for other... Okay.
Ren, come back! Mistress says over the earpiece.
Ren's footsteps slow. I can still hear you.
Yeah, but it's rude to talk all the way down the stairs. Come up here.
Ren turns around and comes back up the stairs. Yes?
She's just eager to do something.
No, I'm
Well,
eager to get out of the way, assuming I can't do anything, but go on.
if you'd like to help, and I don't mean to take advantage, but we could use some more hands clearing out some of the homes.
Ah. Hard labor then. I'm not very good at that.
Unfortunately, yes.
But I can do what I can do.
But Ren, you're such a strapping young woman.
I'm lithe and limber, not burly.
Well, Liontoad speaks up. Any help will be appreciated, and thank you, strangers, for even offering anything.
Yeah.
Blasi addresses you all. This won't come without some form of reward. We can give you a place to stay and some food.
That'll be more than enough.
We probably don't
I mean-
need that. Just
Yeah, we don't.
a location would be fine. We don't want to take away more of your food.
We just need a place
right.
to do what we do, which sounds vague, but that's fine.
What is it that you do?
Whatever needs to be done, really.
Yeah.
Well, okay. She very clearly doesn't know what to make of this.
Yeah, Mist thinks for a moment and is like, is there, like... What's the perception of magic here? I know it's all around everywhere, but... You know, are magic things well taken? Because we might have another solution for temporary food.
We've not
Kind of
seen
looks
much.
over at Laffy.
We've not seen much in the way of the arcane, and Lionted speaks up. But there is a form of magic that is quite accepted, and I don't mean to impose, but if you've access to it, we have those who would be able to take advantage of that sort of thing. Not everybody has the opportunity to wait in line.
Okay.
What sort of magic are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm
healing.
curious.
Ah,
Luffy looks at Nenia.
Ren
Yeah.
looks at Nenia.
Bran looks at Nenia.
Don't
Everyone
look at Nania.
Well, you're in luck because one of our number, and Ren walks over and slaps Nenia on the back and like ushers her forward a little bit.
Hey. Yes, I can help.
Oh.
I can too, sort of. Not as good as her, but I know a
That's
little.
true. And Ren reaches over with her other hand and like slaps Bran on the back, ushers him forward a little bit.
And Luffy, like, makes a few sounds and, like, gestures Saint over her.
Saint has his head down and his tail between his legs, but he slinks over at you, Laffy.
Oh, no.
Luffy looks at Saint and it's just like, as this is going on, she just bends down to have a private conversation with her dog, you know, as
As you do.
Yeah.
Alright,
oh, continue.
is she
You
saying
guys
anything
can-
in particular, or?
Probably not.
Okay. Luffy, as you're kind of quietly speaking to him, his tail does that sad little wag where it doesn't perk up, but he's listening and is happy that you're talking to him, but still not happy. Okay. And, Blasi just smiles, and that would be wonderful. We've got, well, like my son said, not all of us have an opportunity to go wait in the line, so anything is nice.
Alright. Mist kind of looks over at Laffy and she doesn't really say words, but she conveys with telepathy, like, to, like, you know, say something to her when she's ready. Or say something to Mist when Laffy's ready. It's just like a weird feeling. It's not really an actual word or anything. She doesn't want to distract whatever Laffy's conversing with Saint about.
I mean, she's just trying to raise his spirits. Luffy is kind of just waiting to get called on since she has no fucking clue where they're going.
Yeah, Lionton, I can take those of you who wish to help grow with me. Well, those of you who wish to stay behind and heal, go with Mother. Everyone else come with me, please.
Alright.
Okay.
Alright.
And he starts to walk off, and Laffy, Mist, and Ren, you guys follow after him. And Nenia and Bran, and even Saint, he's still not thrilled, but Laffy, you talked a bit of sense into him.
She was just telling him he was a good boy and that this was like, you know, he's a special boy. He's so good, too good to be sad, but he could be sad if he wants to, too. That's okay.
Just sitting here wondering why he's sad about healing people.
Yeah.
Nenius understands. Oh.
So, we'll stick to the healing group right now. Belasi smiles at you guys. Thank you again. I'm Mistress Belasi, by the way. I used to be the proprietress of this establishment. It's wonderful to meet you, and thank you for helping.
Oh, it's not a problem. I suppose I can play healer every once in a while.
It's a pleasure. My name is Nenia.
Hello, Nenia. We don't see many humans down here these days. And Saint is quiet. And she leads you all back downstairs and into a back room that looks like it was once a kitchen. But now there's a few individuals that are resting. Some of them have bandages wrapped around their legs or their arms. There's one with a bandage wrapped around his head even. Nobody looks sick, but there are definitely injuries. And she just kind of gestures helplessly at them, and if there's anything you can do, we would all appreciate it.
Yes, of course. And she looks between Saint and Bran and like her. I'm sorry. Do you have any medical supplies in this room?
We don't, unfortunately. It's one of the reasons that they're still injured, I'm afraid. We ran out some time ago.
Alright. And she was afraid to hear that, but, okay, and I'll see what I can do. She'll, just head over to one and see if are any of them conscious?
One is.
Alright, well, being the social butterfly she is, she'll go to an unconscious person.
Okay.
And check over bandages.
Okay. Make a medicine check.
Okay.
Bran will be there to, assist her with anything, by the way.
Okay.
He's essentially playing her assistant for the day.
Okay.
She should feel privileged.
Oh my
So
god.
privileged.
Nenny, you look through your medicine pouch. Oh, good. Thanks, neighbors.
Oh, joy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought that was like a bottle or something.
sounds like it.
Wow, my train of thought. You go through your medicine kit, and you manage to pull out a few things that look like they could be of aid to this individual. And they have a broken limb, nothing serious. You've seen it before. You know how to set it and make sure that it's put back into place and everything. And you do just that, and the man groans in his unconscious state. But you reset his arm, and he falls back into slumber. Mistress Belasi is leaning back up against the door that she shut, and has her arms crossed against her chest, and she's just watching you guys with this distant look about her. There is one man in particular that does catch your attention, and he's got both arms bandaged up and a bandage around his head.
Mm-hmm. Is he conscious or unconscious?
Unconscious.
Okay, well, she will. I will say that she probably tries to do a little bit of magic healing as she's setting things and to try to help the process naturally.
Okay.
But
well, do you go over to this other man?
yeah, she'll go to him next.
Okay. You walk over to him and make a medicine check.
Okay. Internet, come on.
Doesn't wanna.
Oh god, okay, I'm sorry. It lagged really bad.
It's cool. We'll use the first one.
Okay.
You inspect this one, and you look over your medicine bag, and you think to yourself, there's nothing that you have that can help this one in particular.
Alright. Well,
Probably going to have to bust out the magic for this one.
and she's completely thrilled about that.
Yeah,
Let me
she's
tell you.
so upset.
More flashbacks to home. Okay, no. Alright. Okay. Alright. And, she'll pussyfoot around with it a little bit, like check bandaging to make sure it's, like, tight. And
Brandon gets tired of waiting and casts Cure Wounds.
Okay.
thank you, Brandon.
Roll the
Passive aggressive though.
He just like sits there like tapping his foot, watching her like fiddle around this guy's bandages, and it's like, oh come on.
Just make sure it's not too tight.
what level do you cast it at?
Just first level. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
I gotta remember what exactly the die is.
It's a D8. I think. It's still a D8?
Yes, it is.
Oh my god.
What is that?
It's gotta be a guitar.
It's the fucking neighbors, and like they always decide after 10 is when they want to play a really loud guitar.
Jesus.
Well,
They've got to light up the night with their music.
I'm pretty sure at some point I'm just gonna turn the vacuum on and leave it on.
Put it
just
right next to the wall.
yeah, or
Yes.
prop it up against the ceiling. Yeah, in fact, I might do that after this. Anyway, okay. This golden light emanates from your fingers and flows into the man, and he stirs a little bit, but otherwise, his wounds do knit a bit, but he's too covered in bandages for you to really see. Mr. Spilasi perks up and, oh, I see that there is some magic at play.
Oh, you know, I've been around a while and learned a couple spells.
The priests aren't terribly helpful right now, but I can't blame them. They're a little overwhelmed.
you have priests here that can heal as well?
Yes, up at the remains of the spire. There's a young lady that leads a band of, which she calls them clerics. And they've been helping people as much as they can, but there's only so many of them.
Right, with how much destruction, I can only imagine.
Well,
Sorry.
no, it's fine. It's fine. Do you guys just spend some time healing these people as best you can?
Yeah.
Yeah, she'll stop being a weenie about using heal magic and just kind of like fall into autopilot mode of healing. Just like anybody who's conscious, she asks about like their family, where they come from, to distract them from pain while she does her thing, and yeah, just kind of autopilot mode with healing.
Okay,
Whoever's left.
the people that you speak to are enthusiastic enough to engage in conversation. They don't seem to take notice that you are a foreigner of some sort. But the first time you use your magic to heal, you hear Belasi gasp. She doesn't say anything, but she does audibly gasp.
Nanya would apologize.
She goes, oh, no. Don't apologize. That's just... It's... The clerics do something similar, and it's just a little... Catches me off guard still.
I'd imagine it's still very new, isn't it?
Well, we had healing magics before, but this is new.
Oh. Huh.
She doesn't offer any more explanation.
And Nanya's looks like she wants to ask, but she's not. Because it's I'm so sorry. But, okay, well, she'll just keep at it and do that healing business.
Okay. We'll move over to the manual laborers then. The three of you are being led along by Mr. Spalassi's son. And he's not saying much to you guys at first, but you emerge from the building, and he looks back at you guys, and... How does Mother know you?
Well, I mean, we were here before and she gestures up.
Yeah. We were here before everything came down.
Well,
She gave us shelter.
she is the sort. She's a good woman.
Yeah.
If only you could see the city in a better state than this.
I mean, we did.
Oh, I mean still.
Well. I mean, it can be that way again.
It can be something similar, but not quite what it was before. And as he's leading you guys down through the streets, he looks up at the buildings, the tall ones that were cut down. He just...
Ren follows his gaze and she's like, it can be built better than it was. It wasn't perfect.
To build something better, we'd have to take that down or simply leave.
I don't know. People learn from their past.
I think she meant more from a societal standpoint, says Laffy unhelpfully.
No, that too.
That's not quite my place to decide.
It doesn't really seem like anyone's decided anything about this place other than it's a ruin and oh, woe is me. It's so hard.
No, that's a lot of the places. Enla's taking good care of those who cannot help themselves, but too many don't even bother to try.
The people of Silurai could learn a thing or two from the people of Ardor.
I'm sure. And he leads the three of you over to these like crystal lattices. And they're definitely artificially constructed, and there's a few plants and vines twined up through it. And he gestures, and this is all we've got so far, and there's 3 of them. They're not super large.
Okay, is there any magic stuff happening with these things? What's going on there?
The plants themselves aren't magic, but you do get a sense of some kind of druidic magic flowing through the crystal structures.
Okay. Would Miss know any way?
I'm sorry, the guitar coming through it.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's not even a guitar anymore. Now it's some stupid fucking drum beat. This was what was happening last night every single time I would try to go to sleep, by the way.
Oh my god. Sorry.
It would stop for 30 minutes, and then I would get in bed, and then it would start again.
Wow.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing is it's not that loud in my room, so...
It sounds like it's happening in my...
Yeah.
Jesus.
Well,
Wow.
like I said, I'm calling the landlord on Monday.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah, miss, there's definitely,
She's trying to see if there's anything she knows about, the flow of magic and artificing and all that shit. If there's a way to amplify this.
you can make an Arcana check.
Okay. 36.
There's no way you can enhance this druidic magic, but you look at the trellises that they've made, and then you look over to the remaining, a lot of the crystal around you, and you believe with your minor knowledge of transmutation, you'd be able to create more of these structures.
Okay. I mean, she does know how to convert some things to other things, so she's like, you know, I could probably make more of these for you.
That's what we're hoping for. There's only so many that we
Excellent.
can use.
I can't enhance the magic, though. I think Nafi's gonna have to do that sort of thing.
Well, whatever you can do.
Yeah. Mist goes over to the thing she thinks she's gonna need to, like, start making more of these things.
Okay. You head off and Lionton just watches, and when it's clear that you know what you're doing, he stops paying attention to you and looks to you, Laffy, and you'll be able to help with growing the food.
Yep.
Well, if Mother trusts you, then I suppose I must too.
Yeah, you do. And then Luffy goes, and she goes to a patch of dirt, and she sits herself down,
Okay. And
all cross-legged.
he just looks at you warily and then looks to you, Renan. Allow me to take you to some of the workers, and then I'll come back to supervise these two, I suppose.
Sure.
So he takes off and leads you back into the street, and Mother does trust you, doesn't she?
Well, I mean, trust is perhaps a strong word.
It's more than she's given many travelers. And he leads you through the street, and off to the side you can catch a glimpse of the tree. Make a perception check.
Sure.
All right, you
A
don't.
whole 7.
Yeah, you just see
Nice.
the tree.
Yeah.
He looks back at you and you've interest in the spire, or what remains of it.
Yeah, we're sort of here for it.
How so?
It's history.
Well, the folks up there certainly know a lot of history these days.
How so?
Enla claims to be the champion of some old god.
Oh dear. Ren holds up her hand and she's like, we happen to be very familiar with old gods. And she closes her fist over the symbol.
Is that so? Well, one can only complain so much when she's doing good.
Everything comes with a price.
Hopefully it's a price that isn't too high to be paid. And he falls into silence at that, and like 5-10 minutes later of this walking in silence, he leads you over to a group of men and women that are going from like home to home and rummaging through the things they can find and clearly sorting things into a usable and unusable pile.
Oh man, Ren pops her knuckles and she's like, oh, this is something I'm actually really good at.
Well, I'll leave you with these folk and we'll go on our way.
Alright.
And he leaves you there and leaves and heads back to you, Mist and Laffy, just to sort of watch. Clearly he trusts someone to do manual labor more than he trusts people to perform magic.
Do weird magic shit? Yeah.
It takes 8 hours for the spell to work.
Yep.
So from the outside looking in, she looks like she's doing fucking nothing but making her hands glow green.
And he doesn't seem to be weirded out by that. In fact, it looks like it kind of assuages his fears a bit.
I'm just saying it looks so boring. Like,
Yeah, no, and he hangs out the whole time. Occasionally someone comes up and he whispers some instructions to them, and they nod and scurry back off.
Yeah, Mist is doing whatever weird transmutation, artificing bullshit you need to do with these crystal things to make them more.
Ren is gonna be the best scavenger hunter ever. Okay,
Okay.
if she takes a 10 on like investigation, she gets 25.
Okay. Well, between all of you, 8 hours do pass. You all work for an eight solid hours. Bran and Nenia, you guys have to take more breaks, just between spells, and eventually you work through the people that are there, and it seems that word has gotten out, and a few more people show up.
There's a healer. Shit.
Yeah.
We gotta go.
Good.
So you spend the rest of the day working through individuals that are significantly less damaged, let's call them, but still more so than they would like to be.
Yeah.
And night begins to fall, and you guys all come back from your various duties. Ren, you are filthy and you are filthy and tired. Laffy and Mist, you guys are worn out mentally and physically to a degree. But when you left Mist, you had constructed 6 more of those lattices,
Hey.
and Laffy, you had gotten them growing. And at this point, there was already a lot of vegetables sprouting off of these plants. And by the time you were done, they were practically trees, and they were heavy with fruits and vegetables. And you guys all gather back up, and Mistress Balassi just quietly thanks you before going back on her own way to tend to the people that have come in looking for food, shelter for the night. She's assigning rooms, and you can hear sounds from somewhere else in the building as she's like counting off rooms and telling people where to stay. And she comes back to you guys at some point. You can take my room, by the way, dears, as thanks for the help.
It's all right. We've got a magic thing.
Well,
Yeah.
okay then.
Thank you.
We do appreciate the offer, but we wouldn't want to, deprive you of your sleep when we can. Yeah.
Fluffy is in the background holding her diamond in between her fingers, like looking between everyone. And okay, wait, I keep forgetting this NPC's name. What's her name?
Balassi.
Balassi. She's looking at Balassi. And she's not saying anything, but she's got this big old diamond in her hands.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for the help.
No, wait! Don't go!
She like
Do you
stops
remember-
mid-step.
Do you remember when we came here and we didn't really have anywhere to go, and you were like, oh, you can stay here for the night? And we were like, oh, thanks so much, that's so good of you. Well, and Laffy cuts a fucking hole in the reality with her diamond. And a door shows up. And she's like, you can spend the night with us.
Thank you, but, I have people to attend to.
Right, but you're not gonna have people to attend to all the time. Well, I mean, when you're sleeping.
She makes a really tired smile at you and doesn't say anything else.
You know what? You're right. I have to watch over the others all the time, too. They are very dumb without me.
Only in correctional sense.
Brand just
sort
gives
of.
Bobby this look like, are you real right now?
Yeah.
Nafi, you know what we could do there? We could offer them a meal in the morning.
We could.
Let's do that. If it's alright, of course.
If you can provide food, of course it's alright.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And she turns to leave. And you hear her shoes clacking down the stairs, and coming from below, you do hear the noise of people. And I guess you guys all step into Laffy's magnificent mansion.
Ren's gonna not. As ever with Ren, she likes to spend her time around people when they're not her companions who know her too well.
Oh my god.
And so she's gonna like spend time in like the common area and sort of listen.
Okay. I need you to...
Mist.
Oh,
Oh,
go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mist is sort of. She looks kind of, I don't know, like torn. And she looks at Laffy and she's like, "Could you do, like, wait? Do you still know that spell, that locate item spell thing?"
Yeah?
Okay. Could you do that again through the mansion, or do you have to be outside of it?
Well, that is a very good question, and you see, I do not know.
We could experiment.
We could.
Let's do it.
Laffy goes inside the mansion.
Yeah, Mist follows. Yeah, unless we want that, we can pick up with them after.
Yeah, let's do that. Well, Bran and Nenny, what are you guys doing?
Well, Bran kind of watched Luffy and Mist run off to do their own thing, so he's just like shrugs and like, well, I guess I'm going to go to sleep.
Have a good rest, Bren.
Unless
Brennan.
there's something else exciting happening tonight.
She shrugs. She doesn't know. She can't be helpful. Thank you for your help.
Yeah, no problem. Bran looks like he has like things on his mind, but the whole group is not here, so he's just like, whatever.
Yeah, no. Go ahead.
He will reflect upon his thoughts and discuss them with people later when everyone's present.
Anya too. She follows in to like get a little bit of rest, but she probably leaves every few hours of the night to go check on people in the infirmary-ish area and kind of
Through the common room to see what Ren's doing.
yeah, no,
Snoop on
maybe.
Alright, well, we'll go see Bran and Ren then. Ren, are you sitting down and just kind of listening out?
Yeah, you
Okay.
know,
Make it...
drinking something out of the alchemy bottle.
Alright, make a perception check.
Sure.
You don't hear anything in specific. You are, just conjuring drinks out of the alchemy jug and, minding your own business. Well, trying to not, but you wind up minding your own business.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Bran, you head on down, and there's not a ton of people. It's probably about 6 or 7 individuals all lounging around the various rooms in this place. There's 3 total. And you spot Ren off in one, kind of off in a corner, not totally separated, but definitely not like right next to a bunch of people.
No, I said Bran was going to bed.
Oh, I thought you said you were going to
Nenny
see what
was-
Ren's...
No, I was making a joke about
Oh.
Nenny sneaking by the common room
Oh.
to go.
Okay.
She was using the infirmary as an excuse to go by there and check on Ren.
Okay. Yeah, Brian, you pass out then. Well, Laffy missed.
Yeah, Mist is like, Nuffy, do you remember that symbol that had you use this spell on here last time?
Wait, what?
Okay, Mist just draws this, her body's family symbol. And,
Oh, you mean
and
the
shows it
symbols
to
that we
Laffy.
see all the
Yeah,
time? Okay, yeah.
No, not that one. Not that one. This is a different one.
Oh,
This is here.
I mean, yeah, I fucking guess. And
I guess
Luffy
both, but
closes her eyes and she closes her eyes and she thinks really hard and then she opens her eyes again and she's like, why the fuck are we doing this inside of the mansions and why don't we just go outside the mansions? Okay.
I mean, here's the thing, you didn't
Luffy
know,
does it.
so...
Luffy does it and nothing happens.
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Alright, let's go outside then.
Luffy goes outside.
You do the spell again?
She closes her eyes, she thinks real hard, she focuses on the symbol.
Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
About this one. And that's the familiar one, the one that they saw all on the walls and the shit that they followed, and yeah.
Luffy, how many spell
Luffy.
slots do you have for this?
Enough. I'm a level 15 ranger. Like,
Just making sure. Okay. You do it again and nothing.
right, well, that was all my spells. I'm gonna go sleep.
Oh, so nothing. Alright, well, thanks for trying anyway. I'm glad there's nothing, honestly.
Okay. So you guys proceed to do what you will for the rest of the night. Ren, do you eventually come back to sleep?
She probably falls asleep in the common room. If I'm entirely honest.
Okay. Well, morning comes. The sunlight practically blinds you, Ren, because this is the first time you've woken up, like, outside of the mansion for a while.
Oh
What
god.
happens if we open up windows in the mansion?
You
Is
can't.
it like a void?
No, like the blinds.
Like
Let's just say you
it's
haven't
like
yet.
Monica.
Yeah, you haven't yet, and you probably don't want to.
Okay,
Oh my
well,
God.
I know what Luffy's doing. She's gonna wake up and she's gonna go to the one window in her room
Okay.
and she's gonna draw back the curtains.
Make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh my god!
Alright, you
15.
draw back the blinds, not knowing what to expect, and oh god, it's bright outside.
You mean I see the sun?
You see the outdoors, you see the city around you.
Luffy stands there without pants, hands on her hips. And just kind of is like, huh, wonder why I never did that before. And then she goes to eat breakfast.
Okay. Yeah, you guys all wake up. Luffy, I presume you open up the mansion to anyone in the, brothel?
Yeah, the splendid big door opens up and it smells like breakfast.
Okay. And over the course of the morning, a few people filter in, but by and large, there's not many people in here anymore. Ren, you do witness some of the people get up and leave when the sun rises without really any comment or anything. So, what are you guys gonna do?
Ren observes the morning ritual of rising and leaving.
Okay. Anything else?
No, she hasn't had any coffee yet. She can't function.
Okay, well, the smell of coffee suddenly wafts down from the upstairs when Luffy pops open the mansion for free use.
Ren meanders up the stairs immediately and goes to get her goddamn coffee. 'Cause
Okay, where are the rest of you in this case?
Mist's probably still in the mansion. She is eating and writing things down and contemplating her existence as she do.
Yeah, no, Brand's not rushing or anything.
But she seems
he gets
a
his
little...
Brand gets his fucking 8 hours.
Okay.
He comes in and he has breakfast.
Okay.
Mist seems a little bit less nervous than she was, but perhaps more contemplative.
Okay. Luffy, do you come down with pants on?
Yeah, I mean, she She can't just, like, leave her room not fully clothed in, like, leather armor.
Listen,
Then she...
I mean,
I never know with her.
she could, but
She doesn't feel safe? Like,
Fair.
Okay. Well, you guys are all doing your thing. Nanny, are you there too?
Yeah, she probably had an early morning out checking on people and probably followed up after Red to go get some breakfast
Okay.
and hang out with everybody.
So you guys all do your breakfast thing, and you're left with each other, the dreaded company of one another.
yeah. Yeah, Mister's like, so, anything interesting happen with you? I made 6 crystalline lattice things, and Nafi made trees grow full of fruit.
Yeah. I grew
That's what-
plants.
The
Wonderful.
only one who thinks there's something very strange going on around here.
Well, you know, I had been curious about that since before we arrived, actually. But do you have anything in particular in mind? Bran.
I mean, it's been nearly, what, a year in this particular plane since, everything happened, maybe a little over at this point.
Yeah.
The city's still in complete ruin and disarray. They're starving, and there's just wounded everywhere. It's like it just happened yesterday.
Well, it's the elves. For them it did.
Yeah.
Time still.
It did seem weird though, like, it wasn't, I mean, I understand the time thing very well, but Miss just starts gesturing, she's like, some of the things that we saw laying around looked rather older than they should have been.
Yeah.
And, Lady seems older than she was.
It's bizarre. And I think we should probably head up to the temple.
Try to get some answers from the priests or whoever.
Wait, what? What priest?
There are priests dedicated to an old god.
Oh. Mister suddenly looks more nervous again.
I mean, whatever.
Anything more than that, though? Like,
If they give
No.
us troubles and we go and we, do what we always do.
They are apparently helping the people of the city, but
Quote,
Miss looks a
unquote,
little bit more relieved.
helping. The priests of, whatever it was called, Eternal Place, they said they were helping too.
Well, I mean, they were, but they were also not necessarily.
They just turned a girl into a giant, writhing, fleshy
Oh,
abomination.
those people. I thought you were talking about that. Yeah, no, right.
They thought they were doing the
If
right
they're
thing.
dedicated, here's the thing, right? So we are going here for the Temple of Gyantha, and if there are people dedicated to an old god that are helping people, like we saw, in that weird vision thing before, it might be those sort. It might be ones dedicated to Gyantha.
Well, there's only one way to find out.
Well, I mean, we are going into a big fuck-all tree. Who the fuck else would it be?
Well, I've been worried about seeing more of Votti's family since we got here, since, the ones we got rid of were not all of them. But,
I mean,
if they're
we
helping people, it's probably not them!
yeah.
Miss, shoves a bunch of food in her mouth at that.
Unless they've had quite the change of heart.
Indeed.
Yeah, quite.
So what's our plan? Because, I'm just always ready for a fight. But I figure we are like, oh, we should not be fighting, so...
Well, not necessarily unless we have a reason to, like... I mean, did anyone hear anything else about these priests, or is that just they're priests and they are in that tree?
No, that's all I got. He was rather avoidant. I also didn't ask.
Why didn't you ask?
Because we're going to go there regardless of why.
Fair.
Miss just looks like she stepped in something she didn't want to step in for a second. Like, how could you not ask questions when you have the chance? But it goes away quick enough. She's like, well, alright, I guess, going into something without knowing anything is entertaining.
It's basically how I live.
Yeah. Bella, we going to go?
I guess so.
Ren
I
downs
don't
an
think
entire
there are
cup
going to
of
be
coffee.
any guards.
Wait.
Or anything.
Laffy looks at Saint.
Saint looks at you.
What, is he still sad?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, alright. Listen. Since the moment we got here, look at our poor good boy. There's something wrong happening.
Ren looks at Saint, and then she runs her hands over her brow, and she's like, okay, I just had a thought. I don't really like it.
Please do it.
And she looks at Saint, and she's giving Saint the kind of look that's like she really doesn't want to, she really doesn't want it to be what she thinks it is, but she's looking at Saint, and Saint is very sad.
I
Yes.
don't think it be like it is, but it do.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Exactly.
Saint's looking at you.
What is it, Ren?
Is this like? And she's looking at Saint, and she's like, is there something we're not seeing here?
He just kind of looks at you and... Make an animal handling check.
Sure.
The rarest of rolls.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Ooh.
He doesn't seem to... He doesn't acknowledge that. In the sense that he gives no sign that what you say would be true.
Okay.
Saint, are you alright?
He swings his shaggy head over to look at you, Mist, and just wags his tail a few times, like, slowly.
That's a no.
Mist conveys comforting doggo thoughts with telepathy.
You convey a nice open field, a nice big bone.
She knows now. She's
Yeah.
had the experience.
Yeah.
A nice tree to pee on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not trying to, dismiss whatever has Saint upset, but it's just like, I'm sorry you feel bad, here are some nice things.
Here's some happy thoughts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luffy, you make an animal handling check with advantage. Okay. With the 22, you give Saint a long, hard look, and due to your kind of bond with him, you get the sense that he feels guilty.
Oh no, and she goes and she hugs him and she conjures more food in his bowl and she says nothing about how he feels to the rest of the group. It just looks as if Luffy had a sudden revelation and started hugging her dog.
Ren blinks and she's like,
Missed this
alright, it's not what I thought it was. Good.
What, Luffy?
Oh, he feels bad. He's feeling a lot of guilt right now because he couldn't, saves the city, and everything's going to shit.
Oh,
Oh.
it's alright.
I mean, I thought for the longest time that we had stopped that thing too.
Yeah, I know.
Miss just
Well-
keeps saying more good dog thoughts.
He perks up a bit now that like someone understands why he's upset. He's still not at 100% good boy, but he's at like 40% where he was like 20 before.
Oh,
Ren gives his head like a ruffle on her way by, and she's like, broken things grow back stronger. And she keeps walking.
Okay.
Mist has a weird look at that, but she doesn't say anything.
Uh,
Oh, are we gonna go try to get into that tree?
Ren is walking towards the tree. She's like 10 feet away by now.
What the fuck?
Yeah, well, let's go make sure Ren doesn't do anything.
Time to go climbing trees then.
Yeah.
suppose so.
Find some priests up there.
I hope Ren inadvertently starts a fight so that I don't have to. And then Luffy goes.
Please don't say that.
I hope
I mean-
no fights happen.
Thank
I mean,
you.
knowing all luck, it's going to happen, but we don't really need to hope for it, do we?
She can't even bother to like say anything positive. Like she knows better now. Just to shut down.
she's just given up.
She really has.
Okay, so you guys all file out. You don't see Mr. Spilossi as you head down, but you guys all head outside, and it takes you a minute, especially you, Luffy, since you're the only one that'll really know exactly how to get there, due to your uncanny ranger abilities.
You can't just look up and see it anymore. It's like everything's at this level now.
Yep. But you spot it, and you lead everyone off. And you guys walk, and you proceed through the ruined city, ducking
We
through.
have horses.
Do you want to get on your horses?
No. No, we're in a city.
Okay. So yeah, you guys all follow Laffy, ducking through some alleyways, seeing more of kind of this hopelessness, especially once you get out of the colorless district. But in the distance, you eventually see the base of the tree trunk. And as you emerge from the alleyway that was leading to this, you see the tree, but its bark no longer has that living brown color. It looks tan, like it's petrified almost. And this close, you look up and you can see that, yeah, like the top of that tree was just sliced cleanly off, about halfway up. And at the bottom, where you remember there was this pathway, you still see there's like this glimmering crystal pathway curling up into the tree, but you don't see where it stops. You see a group of people gathered. And above those people, you see a pulpit. And atop that pulpit, you see a radiant young woman. She's fairly tall, willowy, with blonde hair and dirty green robes. And as you get closer, you see that there's like people gathered around this pulpit looking up at her, and you hear that she's speaking. She's in the middle of something, and she calls out, "My brothers and sisters, heed me and listen. I have heard many of you call this time a punishment, or being tested by the magi that once existed. I am here to tell you that you are wrong. This is no test, no punishment. This is a tragedy. Blame not your neighbor, blame not foreigners. Gandthur the weaver, the mother, has given me the strength to guide us through this tragedy so we may see better days once more. You know me and my people to be good. All I ask is your trust. Not your faith, but your trust. Together we will see Silerai restored, but only together. And the crowd doesn't cheer. The crowd just listens. And you guys are kind of at the edges of the crowd now. And you see
Well,
on
I
her...
don't dislike her, so that's annoying.
Ren
Gyantha.
Ren has complicated feelings about gods, so she's gonna, inch her way up. She's gonna maneuver her way through the crowd without actually touching anyone, as she does.
Okay. Well, as you get closer, it seems the young woman is getting ready to leave. On her gown, or her, not filthy, but just worn and well-used green robes, you do see the very rough symbol of Gyanther. It's not elaborate. It looks like kind of a slapdash dye job, almost.
Fabric paint.
Yeah, kinda.
Doing your best. Okay.
Yeah, these are
Hey,
clearly
you
not
gotta
like
work with
official.
What you got.
Yeah. And she turns away from the pulpit and starts climbing down it. And the people are well behaved. There's no rioting crowd, no one's screaming out to touch her. She just turns and walks towards the platform behind her and starts treading up the crystalline twisting pathway. And you see two individuals, both men, in the same kind of green robes, looking a little more worn and a rougher paint job, basically. Gather around, and you see the rest of the crowd then doesn't quite surge forward, but eagerly moves forward, and the two men speak to some of these individuals, and after speaking to them, the people are allowed to continue upwards. But it's not quite orderly, but not chaotic either.
Ren's gonna go to the front of she waits in line, because she's not a complete barbarian.
Okay. What are the rest of you guys doing?
Miss is kind of observing for a moment, like she's having a bunch of thoughts, and she's like, might have thoughts of going on here. But I'm not entirely sure how we're gonna get up there.
Well, there's the line. We could.
Yeah, we can see what
Okay.
happens if we go over there.
Nania's already following Ren.
Do I look like the type to wait in the line to you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now you do. Right now, this moment, precisely what you look like. Let's be going.
Brad looks like he's just about to do something out of complete spite.
Luffy
He
looks like
cans it
she's
for-
about to do something to counter spite his spite.
Miss just grabs both of them and follows after
Brad's gonna buy this time.
Ren.
Luffy is looking at Bran as Miss drags them.
Yeah, Miss isn't gonna try to get in the middle of this. She's like, let's just keep moving until you figure out whatever the heck it is you want to do to each other.
Brad wasn't gonna do anything to her out of spite. He was just gonna go fucking break in line.
Yeah, I mean that's what Luffy was waiting for. And now for all of 2 minutes, she's gonna be prepared for Bran to do something until she forgets the 3rd minute when he inevitably does it.
Okay. Sure. Ren, with you farther up the line, you step forward, and eventually it's your turn to speak to one of the gentlemen at the front, and he smiles at you, this kindly smile, and, "Hello, daughter. What are you in need of?"
I'd rather like to actually meet the woman who's speaking, if that's possible.
Priestess Enla, she will see you, but only if you need her touch. Does something ail you?
Well, actually, we share something, I believe. And Ren shows him the symbol of Rayosh.
He just kind of blinks at it a few times and... Do you need her to look at that scar?
No, like your robes.
He looks down at his robes and looks at your hand and looks down at his robes again. And at this point, the rest of you guys have filed up behind Ren. The line's moving fairly quickly.
Yeah.
After that, Ren holds up her hand and then reaches behind her and slips an arm around Nenia's shoulders and then just sort of moves Nenia in front of her and is in her ear show him the symbol. Show him the symbol. Just do it.
Oh my god.
He's just kind of smiling and blinking owlishly.
Yeah, maybe we all hit our heads. Jeez.
Are you alright?
She's fine, and she's going to pull Ren's arm off of her shoulder, and she's super red in the face because, oh my god, touching her. And she looks back and looks towards the guards and kind of speaks quietly. I wish to understand the priestess's touch, and she. I know.
Literally, she starts snorting.
Nadia has a thought, and she whatever, and she'll pull out a symbol, but not she's trying to be subtle with it so that other people don't see it. But she's going to dig out the symbol and the pendant.
Okay.
To show them.
Upon seeing it, the older man just, oh, well, welcome, sister. Enla's always happy to speak to another acolyte. By all means. And he steps out of the way and gestures up to the spire's ramp.
Thank you. Thank you. And she steps on ahead, but looks back to make sure the others are gonna be coming with.
Ren's right there, and she's her touch.
I mean, Mist will go if they let them all go through as one.
You guys all have to kind of rush forward. And the guy just kind of blinks at all of you, what the hell, but doesn't stop you.
Oh my god, sorry, bye.
He's about to respond to that, and then someone else, comes up and starts talking to him, and occasionally you hear them. But you guys are gone.
Smooth, guys.
For the record, had that gone on any longer, I was going to have Bran discreetly cast Greater Invisibility and just,
oh
go.
My god.
Just go.
Sayonara, bitches.
Later, suckers.
Jeez.
Not
Okay.
only would he have done that, he also would have casted Greater Image to make an image of himself standing where he was. So
Oh
no
my
one would
God.
realize he was
I
gone
mean,
until...
Mist
my
would. Mist would be like, what the
Beautiful.
fuck, Bran?
Sure, but they would be like, wait, why is Bran suddenly a glowing source of magic? Oh, wait, shit, that's an illusion. Wait, where'd he go?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Okay, so you guys are all ascending. And the ground beneath you slippery and seems like it's cleaned somewhat regularly. It's far more well maintained than the street of the city proper. And now that you're up, there's not much of a line so much as there's, people just walking up sort of like they're on a pilgrimage almost. And it takes you 15, 20 minutes of walking uphill.
Yeah, we all remember this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Even
I remember this.
even you guys are a little winded by this point. Um, but eventually you do turn the corner and you see that the pathway now digs into the side of the tree. And at the back of this little entryway where otherwise it would like kind of like lead deeper in, you see this kind of like web-like structure built into the tree. Um, it doesn't look fresh so much as it looks recently uncovered. Um, the branches that make it up they look more alive than the outside of the tree. There's light coming from within it, this flickering orange light, and there's people walking in and out. The people walking out look a little bit better than you imagine they walked in looking. The temple itself is surrounded by kind of what should be on the outside of the tree almost. There's like boughs and branches and leaves all around it. But this is all inside, and you look up and you notice that the sky is above you. You suddenly realize that this is below where whatever happened. This is directly below that. And you just stand there and kind of gawk at this temple for a few minutes. It's dramatic, and it looks like it's always been here. And you catch Enla in the distance, speaking to somebody at the entrance before heading deeper into the temple. And we're going to stop there for tonight because we started late.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm nice and tired. I'm tuckered out. So yeah, we'll be back next week, Internet,
Hey.
with some serious fun times.
Oh boy.
Yep. Bring your
Oh,
big kid
God.
pants.
Uh-huh.
All
I
right.
mean,
What?
I wanted Bran to like. I was gonna have Bran sneak in there because I wanted him to like confront this priestess like just between the two and be like, "All right, what the fuck's going on here? What's your motive?"
I'm sure that would end up well.
What's your dealio?
Jeez.
All right, Internet. We'll be back next weekend.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Bye.